Can you believe it's 2022? And with 2021 being such a momentous year for Apple, what on earth are we going to see this time around? Hello and welcome back to Ellis Reviews, and thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't subscribed, the button's just down there. I don't know about you, but I feel pretty refreshed and ready to crack on with this year, and I'm very excited about what could happen in 2022. That's particularly the case with Apple, because they did have a stonking 2021. But that's all in the past now, so why don't we look forward and try and work out the big things that Apple are going to launch this year. Now, there are some obvious things which I'll tackle later on in the video, but for me, there are 4 things that I'm particularly excited about when it comes to Apple and 2022. The first thing I'm looking forward to is the iMac Pro revival. Now, I've been using the 24-inch M1 iMac for nearly a year now, and ever since I first got it, I thought the obvious next step up was just to make it bigger. So take that brand new, lovely, thin design and just give us a bigger screen, and there you go. There's your replacement for the 27-inch Intel version of the iMac. Now, I'm not so sure. You see, since I've been using the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has the M1 Max chip in it, I think the bigger iMac, the next bigger iMac, should fit squarely within that bracket. And that means it would be more pro-focused. Now, I've always said in the past that pro and professional can mean anything that you want it to mean. If you think you need a pro version of a MacBook, fine, go for it. But Apple does slot some of its products into pro categories. They do it with the iPhone, the iPad, the MacBook obviously, and even the AirPods. And the rumours about the next big iMac are leaning towards that pro moniker. I mentioned in a previous video that I made about the 24-inch iMac, which I'll link to above, that 24-inch screen is actually big enough for most people. I was really surprised by it. I'm a kind of big screen kind of guy, and I was surprised that I went from the 27-inch to the 24-inch without any trouble at all. Now, granted, there are some people who just want a really big screen. Cool, no problem at all. But I genuinely believe that if you go and try out that 24-inch iMac and you're unsure about the screen size, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Of course, that leaves a small subsection of people who just want the bigger screen and the best iMac you can get, which means the rest of the audience for the big iMac are probably professional users. That's why I think it will have black bezels, it will probably include the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips, and there may even be some Pro screen tech thrown in, perhaps borrowed from the Pro Display XDR. So I think the next big iMac is possibly going to be called the iMac Pro, and it will come with a professional price tag probably as well, but I can't wait to see it. Now, if you are planning to get the new iMac this year, or any new Mac, you will need to clean it at some stage. And by that, I mean cleaning it of all the junk files that can build up over time. Now, a tool that I use for this is called Clean My Mac X. It's made by MacPoor, and I'm delighted to say they're sponsoring this video. It's really easy to install, used by 5 million users globally, and it cleans terabytes of junk for people every single day. When I first ran it on my M1 Mac Mini, which is kind of sat out of shot over here, it cleaned 28 gig of unused files that I would never have found otherwise. It also includes protection for cyber threats, it ensures your privacy online, which is really important these days, and potentially it can help your Mac boot up to 4 times faster. There's also a brilliant app uninstaller built into it, which is just a must for macOS. So thank you very much to MacPoor for sponsoring this video, and if you want to check out Clean My Mac X, just click the link in the description. The next 2022 Apple product I'm really looking forward to, although which I probably will never get my hands on, is the next version of the Mac Pro. Now, the Mac Pro has had something of a rebirth thanks to Apple finally placing some importance on it and getting away from that horrible trash can design. But the current version is still running on Intel, and although they are very powerful machines, we're all waiting to see what Apple does with the Apple Silicon version. Now, there are some ridiculous rumors surrounding this. I say ridiculous, they probably are true, knowing what they've done with the M1 Pro and M1 Max, but apparently the next Mac Pro is going to be physically smaller than the current version, but the chip inside it is going to have up to 40 CPU cores and 128 GPU cores. My M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro has 32 graphics cores, and that is already way too many for me. So I don't know who needs 128, but crazy. So that new Mac Pro, I think, is going to be laughably powerful, and for mere mortals like myself, I just wouldn't be able to touch the power that's on tap there. But some people will. People who are working in 8K, 12K video, who are working on massive film scores. People who are doing really, really complicated computer science and machine learning and software development. It's for them, really. But that's what makes it really exciting. It's like a Lamborghini. I'm never going to own a Lamborghini, but that doesn't stop me from admiring it from afar. The world needs Lamborghinis for people who love cars because they're aspirational. The Mac Pro is the exact same thing for people who love Macs. Most of us will never get to use one or potentially even see one in person, but that won't stop the reviews coming in when it finally hits the shelves, and I just can't wait to see how stupidly powerful this Mac Pro is. The third product I'm looking forward to from Apple this year is a new MacBook Air. Now, I say this with a hint of sadness, really, and the reason for that is that I love my M1 MacBook Air. I'm really boring about it. I've made tons of videos about it. You've probably got fed up with them already. But there's a reason for that, and it's because it's the best laptop I've ever owned. I love it more than my 16-inch M1 Max beast of a 16-inch MacBook Pro. And the reason for that is that the MacBook Air has always been lovable. It's why you see people with very old, battered versions of it still in coffee shops typing away. They just love their MacBook Airs, and I'm no different. So the next MacBook Air is rumoured to come with what they're calling the M2 chip. And obviously we won't know what that M2 chip can do until it hits the shelves, but it's going to be the next generation of the M1 chip. So expect faster performance and all that kind of stuff, although the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips will still be those kind of very professionally designed chips, which will have better multi-core performance and all that sort of stuff. But the M2 is going to really focus again on power and battery efficiency, which is very exciting. But the big news with the next MacBook Air is a completely redesigned chassis. And I'm in two minds about this because I just love that tapered design. That said, it's been around for an awfully long time, so it is time for it to be updated. I think we're going to see a kind of thinner, smaller and lighter version of that MacBook Pro chassis for this. And one of the most exciting things, apparently, is that they're going to come in lots of different colours. Now, I either want a white MacBook Air or a blue MacBook Air that's the same blue as the iMac that I've got. So I'm very excited and a little bit sad about the next MacBook Air because the current one that I have is going to be retired this year at some stage. Now, we don't know when this new MacBook Air is going to arrive. I think it's probably going to be the first half of this year, but who knows? However, if you are waiting to buy an M1 MacBook Air, then click the link above to watch a video where I give you a bit of buying guidance in terms of whether or not to wait for the next version or just spend your money now. The last product I'm really looking forward to this year from Apple is a rugged version of the Apple Watch. Now, eagle-eyed viewers may note that I'm not wearing my Apple Watch today. This is a Casio G-Shock. Now, I wore this as part of an experiment I did last year where I didn't use the Apple Watch for a month and instead I just used this. And it completely transformed the way I think and feel about the Apple Watch. These days, I'm filming this on a Saturday, by the way, I wear this most weekends. It's my weekend watch, whereas the Apple Watch is the watch I wear throughout the week and for business reasons. I'm just not quite as attached to it as I once was. However, if Apple launched an Apple Watch which looked more like this, which was more ruggedized, I would absolutely jump on it. And I think it's the obvious way for this to go. The Apple Watch, over time, has become this fantastic fitness device. And because of that, people are really putting it to task in all sorts of different scenarios. Now, Apple has apparently toughened up the Apple Watch with the Series 7, but it's still not a rugged version. You can still scratch and break that screen quite easily. The Apple Watch is so close to being that perfect fitness companion for pretty much any kind of event and fitness activity, but it needs a rugged version. Every time watchOS is updated, they seem to add new types of fitness activities that you can run from it. It just makes sense to make this ruggedized, really tough version. I think the Apple Watch Series 7 was pretty much Apple's most boring product of last year, if you discount the iPad Pro M1 version, but that's for another story. So this year, Apple, I want to see a rugged version of the Apple Watch. Please do it. So those are the 4 things that I'm looking forward to from Apple this year. There's some other stuff, of course. There's the obvious things like the new iPhone. There's going to be an iPhone 14 this year, shock horror. There may even be something to do with augmented reality. There's been rumors about this for a long, long time, whether it be glasses or something else, some kind of AR/VR thing coming from Apple. I really need convincing about this because I find AR very, very gimmicky at the moment. So we'll see. And lastly, we might see a new pair of AirPods Pro and possibly AirPods Max that includes some form of wireless, high-resolution audio streaming. Now, at the moment, both of those headphones rely on Bluetooth, which can't transmit lossless audio from Apple Music, which is a shame, but that's just Bluetooth being Bluetooth. But Apple may well be doing something to get away from Bluetooth and enable those AirPods Pro and AirPods Max to actually accept lossless audio wirelessly. If they do that, that's actually quite exciting. But again, who knows? But what are you looking forward to from Apple this year? Let me know in the comments. If you've still got some time, keep watching for a link to a video that I did recently where I reveal exactly what is on my iPad. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.